In January 2019, our university became Team GB's official university partner, and our history department became part of GB forming its team.
Students and staff from the Department of History were absolutely delighted to work with Team GB. We used our historian skills to find out more about the past of the team.
Last year and earlier this year, I and other students from the university took part in a task to find details and information on past British Olympians with the aim of creating a more robust and inspirational history for current Team GB and British sports fans to draw on.
Athletes from different sports live separate lives until the Olympics, but at the Games, their team needs them all to support each other and feel like one team.
When we were doing the hackathon, I followed Catherine Baker a lot and how she looked into athletes from the 50s and the 60s and how that Team GB athletes now, their main focus is usually their sporting careers and they train full time, whereas athletes from the 1950s and the 1960s often had different jobs, which is kind of incredible to think about.
One of the main aims of our research was to find information on medalists from communities whose history may not have been told or recorded for various factors such as race, sexual orientation, gender, or other factors which may help inspire modern Team GB athletes and give these past trailblazers the recognition they deserve.
Antwerp's Games in 1920 saw the world recovering from the Great War and a deadly pandemic. Well, among Great Britain's team was one of the athletes who have most captured our partner's imagination, Harry Edward, the first known Black Olympian to represent GB. Edward had lived an astonishing life, including being interned in a German POW camp during the First World War while he was still a teenager. He won bronze in the 100 metres and 200 metres in Antwerp. And only a few years after the Olympics, he moved to the USA. His personal papers are in a university archive in New Orleans, and Team GB kindly funded a researcher to visit the archives for us so we could see copies of his memoirs and other materials he'd collected about his career. We found out more about Edward than any other athlete we researched, and our research fed directly into Team GB's digital commemorations of Black History Month.
Another Olympian I found really interesting was St George Ashe, who won the bronze in the single men's sculls in the 1900 Paris Olympics. In later years, he was involved in a violent incident with a night watchman, and he eventually took his own life in 1922 whilst an inpatient at a doctor's. And this potentially highlighted an early case of mental health amongst British sportsmen.
In July 2019, we sent our first pack of research to Team GB, using historic newspapers from the library's subscription collections and oral history interviews from the British Library Sound Archive with athletes who had competed in 1964.
Another woman I looked at who was quite inspirational for me as well from the 1912 Stockholm Olympics was a swimmer called Jenny Fletcher from Leicester. And she was one of the first working class women to ever take part in the Olympics. She was working 12-hour days for 6 days a week and training to be a swimmer as well. And she won a bronze in 1912. She couldn't actually go to the 1908 Olympics because she had to work to help feed the family. So stories like that I found, as someone from a working class background, really inspirational.
I got involved just purely out of interest and wanting to kind of develop my skills further.
You're essentially chasing slivers of information, and that makes it really frustrating but really rewarding as well. I thought it was a fantastic opportunity for Hull, something I never thought would really happen in the city to be able to contribute to Team GB.
If not for COVID-19, our research would have fed directly into an immersive digital experience that would have greeted the athletes at the team's kitting out before Tokyo. But instead we looked to 2021, and perhaps the heritage of another Games.
We're very much hoping that what we found out will be of huge interest to today's competitors and help them build a sense of belonging in the team.